Steelers informed Mason Rudolph of QB plan during free agency. Once it became clear neither Justin Fields nor Russell Wilson would return to the Steelers in 2025, the team pivoted to other options at the quarterback spot. One of those was a reunion with Mason Rudolph. The former third-rounder drew interest from the Giants in free agency, but before a visit could be arranged, he signed a 2-year, $7.5 million deal to return to Pittsburgh. That pact came against the backdrop of the Titans showing interest in a 2025 arrangement after he played there last year, but Rudolph's preference was to rejoin the team that drafted him. Owner Art Rooney, too, made it clear this offseason that Pittsburgh would target a starting-caliber passer in this year's draft or the 2026 event. And, of course, for much of the spring, the possibility of an Aaron Rodgers signing has loomed over the organization. Rudolph has been made aware of the team's plans under center throughout this process, though. The 29-year-old declined to get into specifics about conversations he had on that front, but Rudolph made it clear he knew competition would be coming after he signed. "I assumed they were going to sign people and add to the roster because they always go to training camp with 4 quarterbacks," the Oklahoma State product said, via Mark Kabley of The Pat McAfee Show. "I knew that going in. I am going to respect the privacy of what General Manager Omar Khan told me specifically. That's for him to decide when or whatever they add a 4th. Rodgers and Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin have remained in contact, and in the middle of the draft, Rooney repeated his confidence that the 4-time MVP will eventually sign. The latest development on that front saw the end of May floated as a potential deadline, and if Rodgers is in place by then or later, he will take on starting duties for 2025. Until and unless that happens, however, Rudolph is atop the depth chart with the backing of Tomlin and company to handle QB1 duties if needed. In 2023, a Kenny Pickett injury opened the door for Rudolph to take over starting duties. He remained in that role even after Pickett was healthy down the stretch and through the wild card round. Rudolph's 3 interception-free starts helped get Pittsburgh into the postseason, although he struggled during the team's loss to the Bills, during which he did throw a pick. Still, that showing gave Pittsburgh confidence in reuniting with him for at least a backup role in 2025. The Steelers drafted Will Howard in the 6th round last month and still have Skylar Thompson in the fold in advance of training camp. Rodgers could join that group, but even if that does take place, Rudolph will not be caught off guard. Will Howard dons Steelers uniform for the first time. Pittsburgh Steelers rookie quarterback Will Howard donned the black and gold for the first time this weekend. Howard and rookie running back Caleb Johnson attended the NFLPA Rookie Premier Showcase, and there, they wore their Steelers uniforms for the first time. Howard is wearing number 18, the same number he wore while playing at Ohio State and Kansas State. Howard has notably told everyone he is excited to be a Steeler and has rooted for them to pick him. As the draft went on, "You never know where you're going to end up, but you keep a little spot in your heart for where you really want to go, and I had a little soft spot for Pittsburgh," Howard said. "I was hoping in my heart that they picked me." Johnson is wearing number 20. He wore number 2 at Iowa, but quarterback Mason Rudolph took that. For his stint with the Steelers, Johnson has already been focused on improving his pass protection, the one thing that could hold him back from starting right away. "Pass blocking," Johnson said on what he'd like to improve. "Pass blocking, that's my main thing. That's what I want to work on. I'm going to work on it every day. After practice, just going over there with the bag right there and hitting it with Coach Faulkner. Just learning and learning from Warren, too, because he's one of the best dudes in the league right now. I told him, let's do it. Let's work after every practice and do it. He's with it, and I'm down to go." He had a massive 2024 season, racking up 1,537 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns. That earned him an All-Big Ten selection and All-American honors as one of the best running backs in college football. Even with how murky their current quarterback situation looks, the Pittsburgh Steelers chose not to draft a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft. This is because they continue to hold out hope that future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Steelers all along after a painstakingly long free agency drag. Aside from the ongoing Rodgers saga, the Steelers still invested some draft capital into the position by picking the experienced Ohio State prospect Will Howard in the 6th round. Howard joins free agent signings Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson in the quarterback room, which may not bring most Steelers fans too much optimism for the season. With receiver DK Metcalf as a formidable threat in a scheme otherwise filled with unknowns, it could be a rocky 2025 season for the Pittsburgh offense. But bad seasons lead to good draft picks, so that always leaves some hope. This leads Pro Football Network's Brentley Weissman to predict the Steelers target an elite first-round quarterback prospect in the 2026 draft. Luckily for Pittsburgh, next year's class has plenty of potential options to choose from, Weissman said. Drew Aller is a polarizing prospect, and I actually like him much more than this draft selection would say. I think he has a chance to go in the top 3 of next year's draft. He has all of the physical attributes you want, played well in Penn State's biggest games last season, and did so without much help from his receivers. If he takes a step forward, watch out. Aller's 2025 season at Penn State will dictate just how high he's projected, because a top 3 pick could be out of Pittsburgh's reach. Howard could have a strong chance of seeing the field as a rookie if Rodgers signs elsewhere, but this planned prediction means bad news for his future. Like Aller's for his draft stock, Howard's performance this season in Pittsburgh will go a long way in the organization building confidence in him and eventually deciding if it's worth chasing a first-round quarterback to take his spot. Potential threat to Pittsburgh Steelers for Aaron Rodgers eliminated. The New Orleans Saints could have emerged as a threat to the Pittsburgh Steelers after Derek Carr's retirement, but that will not happen. Jeff Duncan of NOLA.com says the Saints are not expected to pursue Rodgers, who does not seem appropriate for a team in the middle of a rebuilding year. No surprise here, but Aaron Rodgers never really was a consideration for the Saints in the wake of the Derek Carr retirement. At their current stages, they don't make sense for him, and he doesn't make sense for them, Duncan said. Carr retired after suffering a shoulder injury that would need surgery, likely costing him the entire 2024 season. Instead of going through that surgery, Carr opted to retire and walk from the NFL after 11 seasons as a signal caller. Rodgers has yet to sign with the Steelers due to personal issues, he said on the Pat McAfee show in April. A biographer, Ian O'Connor, who has chronicled Rodgers' life at length, says that he believes Rodgers' personal issue will not prevent him from playing football, and he anticipates it being taken care of by the end of May. O'Connor notes that Rodgers was irked he took heat last year for missing mandatory minicamp with the New York Jets for a pre-planned trip to Egypt. If he has something similar this year, he might not want to ink his deal until after the spring calendar. The Steelers have waited this long for Rodgers and seem to continue that as he resolves his issues. Pittsburgh and Rodgers remain in regular contact. All signs seem to point to him signing.